Good morning, everybody. Hope your evening went well. It was a hot one here in Wichita yesterday. Winds were blowing as the unseasonable warm air replaced the cold air that we had before it with all the rain. Big storms went north of us into Nebraska. There's some great pictures on the news services of a twin, two tornadoes on the ground at the same time, pretty close to each other. And unfortunately, some people were killed. But it is that time of year, and it is the Central Plains. It's always unfortunate, but it's not new news. Out walking last night, Henry caught his first rabbit. He was grinning from ear to ear. Brought one that was about 7 or 8 inches long to me, and he, as all Newfoundlands do, use the Tigger method of hunting. They just crash wherever it is they think there's an animal and try to catch something running away from the crash. So he carried it a little over a couple hundred feet to me in his mouth and laid it at my feet, and it was still alive. So just like myrtle, very, very soft mouths, and they tend not to kill what they've caught. So anyway, he was grinning from ear to ear and really proud of himself last night. So it was a good evening, all things considered. Today starts the Fed's FOMC meeting. They will meet today and tomorrow. The announcement comes at 2. No one expects any changes from the current policy. The language of the announcement will be poured over, as will, if they take a Q&A, that will be too, looking for hints about future guidance from the Fed. Right now the Fed has said interest rates will stay lower than normal for a very, very long time. It's built into the market, no interest rate increases until 2015, which is, 6 months away about. And the taper is to continue. Some people think the Fed will step up the taper to $15 billion, a cut of $15 billion per month. So the Fed's open quantitative easing would be over in September as opposed to October. So that will tend to hold the market in check as the large institutions head for the sidelines waiting for the next guidance from the Fed. So I see a trading range market today. We do have some news. Starts 1.36. That would be up from last month. Yesterday's housing index was moved up from 47 to 49 permits. At 1.062. The focus will be starts, not permits. CPI and core CPI at plus 0.2. And it could play if it comes in lower than forecast, but probably won't play at 2%. So I see a range trade right now. You can see that we've got pretty good resistance at 16 and at 12. So we'll make our sell 11 to 15. And then 19 to 23. Best resistance starts at 20, 124.20. And I don't think we've got enough news or action to get to that level. We've got really, really good support in the 6 areas, so I made 3 to 7 buy 1. Just leaning against support. Obviously 3's better trade location than 7. And then 1 to 29 for buy 2. So don't have really market moving news coming up this morning. I just see a range trade as the market awaits the announcement from the Fed tomorrow. Okay, the NOB spread again held in overnight. Tensions lessened. We talked yesterday about what would be the odds of the Sunnis being to take over all of Baghdad, and I don't think they're very good. For one reason only, not not the skill of Baghdad soldiers. The rest of it's Shias versus Sunni. There's, if I had to call what would go on over there, I'd say a civil war. But again, the Shias outnumber the Sunnis in the city of Baghdad, something like 4-1. So I don't think the center will fall. Now, what you've seen, if it weren't for the Shia-Sunni rift, and I mean they are blood enemies, then the Sunnis would stand a pretty good chance of overrunning the current government and being able to take power. But because of the religious rift, I don't think that's possible. But civil war definitely is. So Iraq was quiet overnight, appears to be stabilizing. The United States is sending 275 troopers in to help fortify the embassy. And they're non-combatants, of course. They're not going to take, they won't sally out from the embassy and take on Iraqis in the streets. But if they attack the embassy, they'll be there, and that's what you'd expect. So that really isn't an escalation. There was no news out overnight about the Ukrainian-Russian situation. Okay, right here we're 36 to 26. Add 6 to that. That takes us up to the 6th level. And we've got this high over here of 12. So 5 to 9, cell 1. 15 to 19, cell 2. On the downside, we're 36 even. We have a low of 26, so we'll make 24, 28 by 1. Because the knob spread's holding in there, we'll probably have to pay up a little bit, then 17 to 21 for buy 2. But again, I see a range trade. I don't see a lot of factors that can move the market. I don't think this morning's news can. So it'll get down to really, my guess is that the E-mini, once the news is out of the way, and the strength of such will determine the direction and the magnitude of the moves in the financials. Okay, gold's off overnight because things are quieting down in Iraq, and there really was no news that I could find out of the Ukraine. So we're going to go back and test the breakout. As we left the market, said I didn't recommend going home short, but I said you can get short when London opens up. And we're not against shorts in crude and gold. We're against, I think it's a riskier trade to take from the day session close into the London opening. But market basically stopped at the last rotate up and M period. So we didn't even test the 75 area, and we spilled. Our second buy yesterday was 65 to 67. And we almost made it down to this high volume number at 62. So we'll make buy 1, 60, 62. And then buy 2, 55, 57. On the sell side, the 67 to 69 area, so 67, 69, sell 1. And then 73, 75, sell 2. So I expect support will be tested first. I don't know if we can take it out. But again, I think the willingness for the retail or the spec account to hold these things short between sessions, like between our close and the opening of London, is pretty low, the same in crude. Looking at the euro, we had 2 sells yesterday. We had 90 to the buck, and I believe the overnight session high is 90, and then we had 15 to 25. The buy side, I think, was 40 to 50. Yeah, it was 40 to 50, so we didn't get close to that. Okay, we did just touch the bottom of our sell zone. So we'll make the sell this morning 85 to 95. And then 36.05 to 15. Now, one of the things that you have to take into account, you know, the possibility that these gas pipelines could be interrupted or destroyed by the Ukrainians. Ukraine gets paid for the gas that flows through their country, and the Ukraine needs cash flow too. Because of that, the central government in the Ukraine will not foster or encourage sabotage on those gas pipelines, which means that if Europe has been promised gas flow from Russia, they'll probably get it, and that takes Europe off the table. So we'll sell 85s to 95s, 136.05 to 15, and our buy will be 45 to 55, and then 20 to 30 on the euro. Like the short side better because their central bank likes the short side better. Looking at crude. Crude was off overnight. It's much more explosive when the drum beats of war start beating than gold is. Gold is much more explosive when governments fail. So again, there will be a reluctance to go home short crude by the large speculator. It won't stop them from selling when the sessions are open or when London kicks in, but going home from our day session close short into the London opening is problematic unless you can make delivery. So we got volume down here basically at 106, and we've got volume up here at 107. So I see a 106 minus, 107 plus market. So this 106 evens, 6 1/4 buy 1, 550 to 575 buy 2. On the sell side, last rotate up in London stopped at 62, very aggressive, 50 to 75, sell 1, and then 107, 7 1/4, sell 2, not so aggressive. $50 to 75 is pretty aggressive. Okay, the E-mini held its gains and it probed right in. It's probing resistance right now as it moves higher, and they're looking for where the large institutional trading from the short side will start. And we have the same problem. Let me show the day chart that we always have. We get selling, but we don't get follow-through selling. And the market can move 50 points, give or take, and then it stops. There was an article out yesterday that the world's 400 organizations associated attached to governments, the government themselves, are net long $29 trillion in equities. And that's pretty hard to fight. And China, followed by the Fed, our Fed, are the two biggest buyers of equities. And the reason they do that is that things can be bad, but they can point to the stock market, and it's ingrained in our DNA that if the stock market is higher, good times economically will follow, and it has not been the case. If you go back and look at it in the Depression, we had a couple of nice stock market rallies in the Depression, and good times did not follow. Took World War II to break the Depression. not government policy. In fact, government policy exacerbated the conditions of the Depression. So we can see that we've got this area right in here, this 38 to 45 area. So you got 45, got 38, and you got this spill right here at 35. So 35 to 38 is pretty good resistance. We've got volume high in this particular distribution. Got a little volume at 38, and we got a little volume at 42. So looking at this structure up here, this 38 to 42 would be prime sell territory. The first sell is going to be against 35. I mean, that is resistance. So sell 1's 35 to 36, and then we'll make 39 to 41 for sell 2. On the buy side, the last rotate down yesterday stopped at 25. We're at 31. The market has made us pay up every time to get into it. So I'd like to open it up a little bit. So we'll make 25, 27, but we may have to move that higher off the opening. But we'll get started with 25 to 27. Maybe some disappointment in the housing start news. We'll adjust after that from 20 to 22. But right now the market is pointed higher. We are probing for where will the seller come in. Now, based on the FOMC meeting tomorrow, I don't think you're going to see large institutions on the sell side setting positions. So we're really going to be driven by traders and exchange members today. And so getting stops, we know there's stops here. We know there's stops up here. So everything points into this 40 area as a best sell. And we'll see if we can get it. On the buy side, there's stops below 28. They know that. There's volume at 29. There's volume at 25. And there's volume at 22. So this is the first volume area. So leaning against this volume area is where our first buy comes from. You can see it right in here. So we'll see how the structure plays for us. 34 to 36 is extremely aggressive. It is resistance. That's why that point is there. We'll adjust after the news. 39 to 41 is the desired area. On the buy side, I think getting stops below the overnight, so 25, 27 works, and then 20 to 22. But we really may have to raise our buy a little bit higher depending on the morning's news. It'll take at least 15 minutes to get everything posted. I'm going to get busy on that. I'll be back as soon as I can, and in the meantime, good trading.